Hi, I have an interesting video here. I think you ought to listen carefully. My name is Carl Pearson, and there could be a cure for COVID-19 which has been overlooked by everyone. Now, this video explains the history of development by MIT's Dr. Todd Rider and the Rider Institute of a virus cure which he named Draco, for reasons that I'll tell you later. And the total failure of everyone today to determine whether Draco is a possible candidate for curing the coronavirus. I'm 83 years old, a high school dropout. I received my BA magna cum laude in political science. I'm a graduate of Harvard Law School and have been a small business owner for 74 years. Today is my 60th day of self-imposed quarantine. We have more than 1,454,000 confirmed cases and 87,000 deaths due to the coronavirus. I'm highly vulnerable and very interested in a cure, and you ought to listen to what I have to say. I've done a lot of research for me and for you. Several days ago, and really just 3 or 4 days ago, I had never heard of Draco or Dr. Rider or his Rider Institute or their connection to MIT. But when speaking to someone about vaccine development, I was alerted to the possibility that something called Draco could be a cure, and that this Draco development seems to have been suppressed. So I decided to look into these possibilities out of self-interest and because I thought a video would be useful. Here is what I have done on May 14th for a 2-hour period. I have taken 2 pages of Google search results and have put them in chronological order in order to be able to see for myself the history of this Draco, and which is where I am now in writing this at. And I'm going to report on this chronological history to let you and me understand what has happened to Draco. So let's start on this history of a possible cure for the coronavirus and the reasons for the cessation of research. I'm giving you dates because I have specific dates here. On July 27, 2011, Todd Rider and 5 others published a research article in PLOS One, that's PLOSONE, describing research re a broad-spectrum antiviral therapeutics. The URL for this is provided in my description for this video. On August 10, 2011, MIT announced that a drug called Draco was being tested and that it was hoped that it would be able to cure nearly any virus. On the same date, August 11, 2011, healthland.time.com reported that MIT senior staff scientist Todd Rider stated, quote, "In theory, it should work against all viruses." Also, I should add that Time magazine awarded Todd Rider that the invention of Draco was one of the top 50 inventions for the year 2011. I just wanted you to know that that received that commendation. On September 3rd, 2011, the Wall Street Journal reported, quote, "Draco, who wrote Athens' first constitution in about 620 BC, decreed that just about every crime should be punishable by death because that was what petty criminals deserved, and he could think of no harsher penalty for serious criminals. Draconian, in quotes, means indiscriminate as well as harsh. So it is appropriate that the word Draco has been appropriated by the inventor of the first antiviral treatment that promises to work against all viruses. Until now, if antivirals worked at all, they were specific. So that's the end of the Wall Street Journal quote. In 2012, a pharmacy student explained how Draco is supposed to work, and this is very complicated, and don't try to remember it or even understand it, because I don't necessarily. But anyway, this pharmacy student stated, Dr. Todd Rider and his team at MIT created a biologic compound that combines protein kinase, Kinase-R, a protein that detects double-stranded RNA, with a caspase oligomerizer, which triggers an apoptosis cascade. So that is technically what Mr. Rider, Dr. Rider created, invented. Since, and quote, and this is a continuation of the quote now, since viruses produce long double-stranded RNA, while mammalian cells do not, it is hypothesized that the Draco molecule is able to detect a cell with an actively replicating virus and trigger apoptosis, killing it immediately. An uninfected cell, or a cell with a dormant virus, would remain unharmed. So that is the end of quote, and that is what the invention is all about. But the student said that killing all viruses is just too much of a claim, and he mentioned HIV specifically. On August 1, 2013, 7 years ago, the NIH, the National Institute of Health, and its related institutes on virus control or something like that, granted the MIT Lincoln Institute a one-year grant of $235,000 to advance Dracos, that is a plural, meaning whatever different viruses are involved, toward ultimate utility as safe, broad-spectrum antiviral therapeutics, filling a large gap in existing therapeutics. The grant was made because Rider had demonstrated that this protein Draco is non-toxic and effective against 15 different viruses in cells and 3 viruses in mice. On September 4, 2013, Rider recorded an 18-minute lecture on his Draco project, which you should look at. The YouTube URL is provided in my description. On July 7, 2014, Todd Rider became employed by Draper Laboratory to continue his work on treatments that are effective against a wide array of pathogens rather than specific threats. This is my own thinking here, is that Rider probably did not convey to Draper Laboratory the rights to that invention, and therefore Rider was probably not working on his specific Draco project during his time as an employee of Draper, but that's just what I'm guessing because of the legal problems involved. On February 19, 2014, the video was uploaded to YouTube under the caption, quote, Panacea Broad Spectrum Antiviral Therapeutics, Todd Rider. And I provide the address in my description. It is worth looking at. It's about an 18-minute video. On September 27, 2015, someone on the social media Reddit asked whether Draco could kill the HIV virus. On November 1, 2015, Todd Rider held a Reddit IMA, or popularly called AMA, in which he invited anyone to ask him questions that they wanted to. As part of his background, he stated, quote, "For more information on the science and the results of previous Draco experiments, see the 2011 article published in PLOS ONE," which I already described to you. On December 15, 2015, Business Insider magazine reported in its article, quote, "Todd Rider is crowdfunding his Draco antiviral research," and then went on to say, quote, "After working on his invention for 16 years, Todd Rider found himself in what he calls, quote, the funding valley of death, unquote, too far along to get money from those who supported his preliminary studies, and too far from market to get big pharma's backing." End of quote. Apparently the crowdfunding attempt failed. On April 11, 2016, Reason magazine posted, quote, "The Rider Institute seeks funding for Draco research," and further stated, quote, "The technology finds itself with little support from the funding mainstream and needing to raise funds from philanthropists to bring the technology to the clinic. Potential radical improvements from over the existing status quo are often in this situation, unfortunately. Following on from an initial crowdfunding effort last year and a growing group of supporters, the Rider Institute is the latest step in the organization of fundraising and advocacy for Draco research and development." End of quote. On May 11, 2016, in a Rider released publicity letter, Rider was still trying to get $2 million in funding through crowdfunding. On July 17, 2016, that's 2 months later, GoGo Indie Crowdsourcing announced that Rider's second crowdfunding effort was ended, with $39,382 received of the $100,000 sought, and it had 403 backers, and that Rider retained the amount raised according to the crowdfunding terms. On October 16, 2016, BigThink.com explained how Dr. Rider can't get funding and stated, quote, that a gap in research funding holds back potential cure for all viruses. On November 29, 2017, Disclose.tv referred to Todd Rider as the MIT engineer who probably cured every virus on Earth. In 3/19, 2018 or 19, Reddit had an inquiry, "Does anyone know what happened to Draco from MIT?" One answer, "Research on Dracos has entered the well-known Valley of Death," and the source of that was Mr. Rider's riderinstitute.org. On July 3rd, 2019, there is a similar Reddit inquiry. So this brings us now up to February 2020, where we already now know that there's a coronavirus. On February 19, 2020, Reddit had the following post: "Draco, effective broad-spectrum antiviral tested by DARPA and designed by MIT scientists." But the post was withdrawn without any comment. and raises a question of what did DARPA do, if anything, in February 2020 about Draco? Did the Trump administration order DARPA to stop any funding? I'd like to know that. On April 23, 2020, thinkpaul.ca stated MIT superdrug could cure COVID-19, but nobody wants to fund it. His Rider Institute is still actively seeking donations, and I give you in the description the source of that, to bypass the valley of death and make Draco available to the public. So that's really the update. I have 3 additional matters that first, there is a petition by change.org seeking a total of 5,000 signatures to fund Draco. 3,623 persons have signed it already. I provide the link so you can see the petition in the description. Second, the Rider Institute website, I provide that also, where you can look to and read the website of Dr. Rider. And thirdly, the Wikipedia information, quoting, "In total, it was predicted that $500,000 per year for 4 years would be needed to optimize and demonstrate Dracos against clinically relevant viruses. However, 2 crowdfunding campaigns for $90,000 both failed to reach their target in 2016. In 2015, an independent research group reported to have successfully observed antiviral activity against the porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome virus, that's PRRSV, using Dracos in vitro. As of December 2015, research related to Dracos had ground to a halt due to a lack of funding." I provide the Wikipedia URL for that. So that's what I found. And in summary, I see absolutely no evidence or reason why adequate funding should not be immediately provided to Dr. Rider to focus on the coronavirus. If any of you are in a position to pass this recommendation on to someone who has some clout with Big Pharma or the Trump administration or Congress, please do all of us a favor by passing the URL and description along, and all of us will be deeply indebted to you. That is the URL for this video and the description, and all of us will be deeply indebted to you. Well, I've said what I plan to say, and I'll say so long until my next video.